My birthday party exposed her secret, and the video wasn't the worst part. My wife went to her younger sister's bachelorette party. A year later, at my birthday party, her younger sister's husband showed me a video of my wife dancing with a stripper and kissing him. Then the stripper took off her blouse and kissed her breasts. They went to a hotel room together. That's the headline, the holy hell summary. But this is our /relationship_advice, so here's the context before everything detonated. I'm Ethan, 33. My wife is Madison, Maddie, 31. We've been together 7 years, married 4, neat little condo, a labradoodle named Pixel, and a group chat full of brunch photos and dumb memes. If you asked me 6 months ago, I'd have said we were good. Not fireworks every day but comfortable. I thought comfort was the goal. I noticed the first hairline cracks after Ava's bachelorette last year. Maddie came home with glitter on her collarbone and a story that sounded pre-loaded, like she'd rehearsed it in the Uber. It was totally tame, babe. Like PG-13. Mostly karaoke and mocktails. She never says mocktails. Also, who preemptively calls a party tame. There were new passcodes on her phone. A sudden obsession with late girls' nights on Thursdays. She started taking the long way to everything, Target, yoga, even the mailbox. And the perfume. She'd spritz something unfamiliar in the hallway, like she needed to change the air before sitting next to me. When I asked about it, she laughed too hard. Ethan, you're adorable. I'm 31, not 13. Sometimes friends drink wine and talk. Sorry, I have a life. That was the first time she called me adorable like it was an insult. Maddie's family is a lot. Her mom, Karen, yes really, is a pageant circuit legend who believes crying solves everything. Her dad, Dale, smiles like a politician and never answers a question directly. Ava, the younger sister, is chaotic sunshine, gorgeous, impulsive, and forever dangling half-truths like earrings. Her fiancé then, now husband. Ryan is the calm one, the guy you want around when a tire pops. Fast forward to this week, my 34th. Maddie volunteered to plan the party at our place. She was weirdly intense about the playlist and the guest list, and even weirder about telling me not to micromanage the vibe. I just wanted queso and people who know my middle name. Everyone showed, my parents, Linda and Tom, my buddy Marco, co-workers, and Maddie's entire clan, buzzing like bees who smelled spilled sugar. Maddie floated around in a backless black dress, top shelf smile, bottom shelf warmth. She kept refilling cups and avoiding my eyes. Then Ryan nudged me near the kitchen island. Hey man, happy birthday. Can we talk for a sec? Privately. He didn't whisper, but the room got quieter anyway. I followed him down the hall toward the guest room, my stomach doing that elevator drop. He locked the door, exhaled, and took out his phone. Ryan's hands shook as he scrolled. I shouldn't have sat on this, he said. I don't know what I thought. But you deserve the truth. He tapped play. It was the club first, neon ribbons, a bass line like a heartbeat. The camera swung and there was Madison in that white sash Ava made her wear, swaying with a brunette stripper who looked like a Pilates instructor with a secret. Maddie's cheeks were flushed, glitter freckles on her collarbones caught the light. The dancer whispered in her ear, and Maddie laughed the laugh she saves for other men, bright, reckless, like a dare. The video wasn't porn, but it was intimate enough to feel like a slap. They danced close, stomachs brushing. Maddie's hands climbed the dancer's back. A kiss, quick, then deeper, like someone had flipped a switch nobody could find again. The brunette slid off her blouse, black lace, nothing left to imagination, and leaned down. Maddie arched, eyes shut, a soft gasp I'd heard before in different rooms for different reasons. The dancer kissed her breasts, slow and deliberate, like she owned the moment. My mouth went dry. Ryan swiped to the next clip, a hallway. The camera caught the bachelorette pack cheering and scattering. Maddie and the dancer peeled off toward an elevator, fingers laced. Someone wolf whistled. Ava's voice hiccuped a giggle and a ick. The timestamp ran late. Another clip, hotel carpet, the kind with swirls. The dancer led, Maddie followed, both of them out of breath, like they were running toward a dare. Who filmed this? I managed. A groomsman's roommate. Don't ask. It circulated, then vanished. Ava begged me to delete. I did. But I saved these. I felt sick every time I looked at you. I stared at the corner of the phone where a reflection warped my face. I looked like a funhouse version of myself, longer, thinner, wrong. Maybe it was just that night, Ryan added carefully, like he was walking through glass. He scrolled again, screenshots of texts. Maddie saved the stripper under a decoy name, Luca Pilates. Flirty messages, daytime meetups cloaked as lunch. Winks. A selfie of them at a hotel pool 3 weeks later, oversized sunglasses, Maddie's wedding band shimmering like a joke. The door rattled. Ethan? Maddie's voice had teeth. Why are you hiding at your own party? Ryan locked eyes with me. You good? No. But I nodded. He slipped out first. I pocketed the phone like it burned, wiped my face and opened the door. Maddie stood there with that party host smile glued on. What's going on? Let's talk, I said. Now. Her pupils tightened, then smoothed into disbelief, like she'd practiced this expression too. We slipped into the master bedroom like two actors leaving the stage mid-scene. I closed the door. The music outside thumped through the drywall. My name floated up in a cheer I didn't deserve. What is this? I asked, holding up Ryan's phone. Maddie's face flashed open-mouthed outrage first, brazen, theatrical. Are you serious, Ethan? Snooping? On your birthday? You're unbelievable. Watch it, I said, tapping play. The laugh died in her throat. For 3 beats she stared at herself kissing the dancer, then she exhaled through her nose like a kettle. That was a dare. Was a joke. Everyone does dumb stuff at bachelorettes. Grow up. There's a hallway clip. A hotel carpet. Text. Pool selfies. Luca Pilates. 3 weeks later. Her chin trembled, rage cracking into panic. Okay, that looks bad but you don't understand. She moved closer, palms up. I was drunk. The girls pressured me. I didn't even want to go to the hotel. We talked. That's it. Talking. She pushed the phone away as if the truth could be palmed like a basketball. And why are you colluding with Ryan? He's obsessed with me. He's always been weird. I felt the floor of my life tilt. So you didn't sleep with her? She stared at the carpet, then at me. What does sleep even mean to you? She winced at her own words. Ethan, I'm sorry. She grabbed my hands, then slid down to her knees like the apology had gravity. Please. I love you. I was lost. I was insecure. You've been distant. You work late, you check out in conversations you don't even notice when I change my hair. I noticed the new passcode. Privacy isn't a crime. Her voice spiked, then broke into a sob. Mascara smudged. She looked up at me from the floor, a picture of ruin. It was a phase. It's over. I can fix it. I'll block her. I'll change my number. We can try open marriage? For a year? Maybe I needed to explore and now it's out of my system. Every sentence was a costume change. Fury, logic, bargaining, fantasy. An open marriage is not retroactive permission, I said. It's cover for what already happened. She crawled forward, hands on my knees. Please, Ethan. Don't throw us away. We're family. A soft knock. The door cracked. Ava's face appeared, blotchy, guilty. Mads? Ethan? Everyone's asking for cake. Her eyes landed on the phone in my hand. The color drained. You told him. Not a question. A verdict. Behind her, Karen's voice floated down the hall, syrupy and urgent. What's the holdup? The candles are melting. Maddie sprang up, tears switching off like a faucet. She squared her shoulders, angry again. You're going to humiliate me in front of my family? On your own birthday? Are you trying to make me the villain? You did that yourself, I said. Ava whispered, Mats, maybe tell the truth. Maddie wheeled on her. Stay out of this, Ava. You always want my life to blow up because you can't manage yours. Dale's silhouette joined the doorway, hands in pockets, smile like a lid on a pot. Let's take a breath, he said. Optics, people. I suddenly saw how this would go if I let it. The crying pageant mom, the diplomat dad, the sister caught between, the party outside pretending not to hear. Me the last to the joke. I pocketed the phone and said, we're done with cake. Everyone can go home. I stepped into the hallway and said, louder than the music, party's over. It was like pulling the fire alarm. Conversations clipped off, plastic cups froze midair. My mom, Linda, read my face and went full nurse mode, hand on my back, eyes scanning for wounds she couldn't see. My dad, Tom, stared at Maddie like he'd finally found the missing screw he'd warned me about and it was bigger than he thought. Karen arrived first with a tissue already crying. Oh, honey, no, what did Ethan do now? The audacity almost made me laugh. What did I do? I said. Your daughter's been cheating. Karen swiveled to Maddie, instantly wet her tears. Men push you to it, she said. They forget romance. Dale squeezed her shoulder, politician calm. Let's keep this in the family, he murmured like the problem was volume, not reality. Maddie flipped back to rage. Ethan is humiliating me over a dare. You all know how bachelorettes go. A few cousins looked at the floor like they knew exactly how they go. Ava's face crumpled. Ryan stood behind her like a gilt lamppost. Marco, bless him, broke the silence. Bro, you good? I nodded because I didn't have words. He started ushering people toward the door with that bartender tone. Thanks for coming, folks. Tip your hosts with silence. Maddie caught my sleeve, glitter from her dress rough against my skin. Please, Ethan. We can talk after they leave. Her eyes flooded again, then she actually dropped to her knees in the hallway. Don't throw me away. I made a mistake. One mistake. I held up Ryan's phone. It wasn't one. I didn't show the texts. I just watched the lie flinch across her face. Karen gasped like I'd sworn in church. Get up, Madison. Dignity. Maddie didn't move. She clutched my hand to her cheek. I was lonely, okay? You work late. You stopped touching me like you used to. I felt invisible. Luca made me feel seen. Luca. Hearing the decoy name out loud was a needle in my ear. Ava's voice finally threaded in. Mads, tell him about Trevor. Everyone's heads pivoted. Maddie shot her a dagger look. Ava swallowed. The coworker. Before the bachelorette. The coffee dates that weren't coffee. Maddie stood up so fast she wobbled. That was nothing. Flirting. Everyone flirts. Not everyone, my dad said, quiet but heavy. I felt small, suddenly, like a JV version of a husband who'd failed tryouts. Was I not exciting? Not protective? Not enough. The insult bit deeper than the evidence. My brain tried to build a spreadsheet of my shortcomings and lay them next to her choices as if they'd balance. They don't. They never do. Maddie grabbed my face, thumbs pressing like she could tilt me back into her orbit. I'll fix it. I'll block Luca. I'll message Trevor, anything you want. Please. Then the pivot, always the pivot, or we could try an open thing for a bit. Just to reset the power balance. People do it, Ethan. My mom made a small sound I've only heard at funerals. Baby, she said to me, you don't negotiate with a wound. Dale coughed into his fist. Optics, Madison. Apologize. Then go dark. And like it was scripted, Maddie straightened, smoothed her dress, and looked at me with TV sincerity. I'm sorry you feel hurt. Marco winced. Ryan blinked. Ava whispered, oh my God. I found my voice. Everybody out. Pixel barked from the bedroom like he agreed. I opened the front door. October air slapped the room awake. People shuffled, whispering. Karen kissed the air near my cheek and staged whispered, you're overreacting. My dad squeezed my shoulder. I'm here tomorrow morning, he said. Truck and coffee. As the door closed behind the last guest, the condo went too quiet. Maddie stood in the center of it all, mascara tracks drying, breathing hard. Okay, she said. Now fix me. After the door clicked shut, Maddie exhaled like she'd been holding her breath for a year. Ethan, baby, listen. She crossed the room, slow, like approaching a spooked horse. Then she dropped to her knees again, palms on my thighs, eyes huge. I screwed up. I felt empty. Luca was a phase. Trevor was a tension. None of them are you. Her voice went breathy, manipulative, soft. Let me make it up to you tonight. We can rewrite this. It landed like a bribe. I stood. She clung to my belt. Please. Don't go cold, talk to me. I stepped back and pointed at the couch. Sit. She flinched, then obeyed. I set my phone face up on the coffee table, hit record. No more spins, I said. Truth, start to finish. She blinked at the little red dot. You're recording me? Protecting myself. The first skeleton clattered out quick. Trevor wasn't flirting. It was drinks, then a hotel once, then twice. I hated it, she said, crying ugly now. It made me feel powerful and disposable at the same time. I kept thinking I could quit. Then Ava's party happened and something shifted. I told myself girls with girls doesn't count. She actually said that. I asked about Luca. She swallowed. 6 times, she whispered. Maybe 7. It blurred. She said they had rules, no photos, no overnights, no gifts. Then I showed her the pool selfie. She winced. Okay, a souvenir. She said if I kept the ring on, it meant I was safe. The logic was a maze with mirrors. Anyone else? I asked, bracing. Silence grew teeth. Then, there was a burner app. She pointed at her phone, trembling. It's under the calculator. I opened it, login screen, her birthday as the code, insult on top of injury. Threads unfurled. Luca, Trevor, Ajay, Jackson? With hotel receipts, a string of selfies from my own living room while I worked a late shift in the den. I recognized the blanket. I felt my body temperature drop. There's a moment in a car crash where you understand physics on a spiritual level. That. Maddie slid off the couch on her knees again, forehead to my shin like prayer. I'm garbage. I know. But I can be recycled. I'll do therapy. Couples counseling. I'll write a confession to your parents. I'll quit my job. I'll delete everything. I'll change, tell me how to change. Pixel crept out and pressed against my calf, a wordless vote. I tried honestly to picture forgiveness like picking up a cracked bowl and gold filling the seams. I saw the future, me smelling other people on our sheets, me pretending hotel carpets are just patterns not crime scenes. My stomach rolled. My phone buzzed. Ava? I'm outside, her text read. Ryan's driving your folks home. Can I talk? I opened the door and she slipped in, hoodie up, face striped with tears. I should have told you, she blurted. Mad swore it was a phase. Mom said keep peace. Dad said optics. I kept choosing the story where it fixes itself. Maddie snapped even from the floor. Traitor. Ava ignored her. There's one more thing, she said to me, voice small. Jackson? He's our cousin's friend. Thanksgiving guest Jackson. I remembered the guy, tattoo sleeve, everyone fawned over his startup. My chest went hollow. Maddie's hands tightened around my ankles. It was after a fight. I was angry. He kissed me first. I walked to the window, stared at our reflection layered over the streetlights. I'm not a judge, I said slowly. But I am a boundary. I turned back. You move into Avis tonight. Maddie's face crumpled. Ethan. Please. Pack a bag. She crawled forward, clutching, begging, promising. I heard every word and believed none. Ava touched my shoulder. I'll take her, she said. You sleep. Or try. Maddie stood on shaking legs, glaring and sobbing in the same breath. This is not over, she hissed, then pleaded. Don't give up on me. I didn't answer. I watched the elevator swallow them, then locked the door and finally let the house be quiet enough to hear my own pulse. The silence after the elevator doors shut felt like a pressure change. Pixel circled once and plopped on my foot like a paperweight for my heart. I walked the condo taking inventory like a landlord after a bad tenant. Lipstick on a wineglass, the cake knife buried in frosting, a stray bachelorette sash we'd used as a gag last Halloween. Everything suddenly meant something else. I tried to sleep. Nope. Every time I closed my eyes, hotel carpet patterns pulsed behind my lids. So I did the only thing that felt sane. I made a list. Do not drink, I wrote first. Do not text her. Then I added, change Wi-Fi, change banking passwords, pull the phone records, back up the photos. Practicality is a weird life raft. Marco texted, you breathing? I sent him a thumbs up because anything more would snap me. Mom wrote, coffee at 8. We'll bring donuts. We love you. Dad followed with, proud of how you handled chaos. I didn't feel proud. I felt hollowed out like someone had rented my body and left the lights on. I opened Maddie's cloud account. She'd once asked me to fix her settings. The burner app didn't sync, but notes did. There was a doc called Rules. No names, no overnights, no falling in love. Then, in a different font, none of this counts if Ethan never finds out. I sat there, reading the logic like a funhouse mirror, and felt the self-blame monster creep in. If I'd been more exciting, more present, less predictable. I caught myself and wrote a second list, things I am not responsible for. Her secrecy. Her lies. Her choices. At 2 a.m. I leashed Pixel and walked the empty blocks, breathing steam. I thought about forgiving her, really tried to picture it. Us at counseling. Me learning new languages of affection like it's a class I could ace if I just studied harder. But every version of the future required me to forget my own eyes. Forgiveness felt like consenting to amnesia. Back home I made a nest on the couch. Blanket, water, a journal I hadn't touched in years. I wrote the story chronologically, not for Reddit yet, just for me. The act of putting it down slowed the spin. I added a plan page. Call a lawyer, call a therapist, schedule an STI panel, ask HR about EAP, pull 3 months of bank statements. Revenge. I wrote, then crossed it out and replaced with dignity. Under that, document everything. Don't broadcast. Somewhere near dawn, Pixel's snore synced with the fridge hum. I watched the light change on the ceiling. In the gray before morning, I let myself cry, quiet, ugly, shaking. It didn't fix anything, but it proved I was still in there. When the sun finally clawed over the blinds, I stood up, showered, shaved, and said out loud to the mirror, you're not the villain and you're not the fool. You're the boundary. Then I made coffee for my parents and opened the door before they knocked. My parents arrived like a rescue squad. Coffee, donuts, no speeches. Dad hugged me once solid. Mom squeezed my forearms and said, "We act, we don't spin." So we acted. 9 a.m. I called a lawyer Marco recommended. She didn't coddle. Document. Quietly separate finances. No social posts. No confrontations without witnesses. I sent her the video and the recorded confession from the couch. She whistled low. "You're doing the right things," she said. "Rage is expensive. Planning is cheap and sharp." 10 a.m. Bank. I moved my direct deposit, set alerts, froze the joint credit line to gas station only limits. I changed every digital lock, Wi-Fi, streaming, cloud. Pixel watched from the couch like my furry CFO. 11 a.m. Clinic for an STI panel. The nurse looked at my intake form and softened. "You're not alone, sweetie." I didn't cry, but it flickered. Noon, HR. I asked about the employee assistance program. Booked a therapist for Thursday. Wrote the appointment on paper like a talisman. By lunch, the house looked less like a crime scene, more like a project. I put every piece of evidence in a private folder. Dates, texts, her rules, note, screenshots of the burner app, even the stupid pool selfie with the wedding ring shining like a punchline. I gave Dad a copy in case anything mysteriously disappeared. At 2 p.m., Maddie popped back in with Ava, eyes swollen, lip glossed, contrite and camera ready. She scanned the room like a thief returning to the scene. "I need more clothes," she said, voice husky, then softer to me. "Can we talk? Just us. Please." The urge to crumble hit like a wave. I pictured the hotel carpet and let it pass. "We talk with witnesses," I said. "And only about logistics." She threw her hands up. "You're punishing me." "No. I'm protecting me." I kept my voice flat. "You'll stay at Ava's. I'll stay here. We split bills for now. No bedroom stuff, no romantic anything. You delete the burner and hand over passwords. You schedule a full panel. You draft an honest letter to our families. I'll consider counseling after my therapist clears me." She blinked, then went nuclear. "Oh, suddenly Mr. Perfect has rules? Where were these when you worked late? When you stopped wanting me?" Tears pooled, she dropped to her knees again, palms up like an offering. "I'll do anything. I'll beg if that's what you need." She actually reached for my belt. I took 2 steps back. Ava put a hand on her shoulder. "Mads, stop. This isn't a movie." She looked at me, apologetic. "I'll make sure she follows through." Karen called mid-scene. I put her on speaker. "Madison is devastated," she announced. "Ethan, forgiveness is a choice. Accountability too." Mom shot back from the kitchen. Dale texted me separately, "Keep this quiet. Careers can be harmed by gossip." I responded, "I'm not gossiping. I'm documenting." For revenge, my worst ideas glittered. Posting the clip, group chat scorched earth. Instead, I picked surgical. I transferred our photo stream to a private archive, took my name off her gym membership she never used, and, petty yes, renamed our shared Spotify playlist from Us to Evidence. I set my socials to private and changed my status to not accepting DMs. Not a subtweet, not a public trial. A boundary. Before she left, Maddie tried one more pivot. "What if we just reset? Open for a year. No secrets." I met her eyes. "You spent a year using my ignorance as permission. I won't volunteer for more." She swallowed, nodded like she understood language again, and followed Ava out with a duffel. When the door clicked shut, I felt lighter in a way that hurt. Planning didn't fix my heart, but it gave my hands something honest to do. The first week felt like walking past an open elevator shaft. I kept leaning over the lip to see how deep it went. Every habit tried to drag me down, checking Maddie's location off, rereading texts poison, composing speeches I'd never give. At 1 a.m. on Wednesday I hovered over her burner login, hands shaking, then forced myself to shut the laptop and do 10 push-ups like a middle schooler trying not to cry. Pixel licked my ear. "Dignity over dopamine," I wrote on a sticky note and slapped it to the fridge. Therapist day came. Dr. Shah had kind eyes and a refusal to chase drama. "You're in withdrawal," she said. "Not from the person, from the certainty you thought you had. Name it when the urge to peak hits." So I did. I walked laps in the parking lot, said out loud, "This is the part where I check her accounts and feel worse." It helped in a dumb, real way. Then the skeletons started knocking like they'd RSVP'd. Ryan sent me an email thread. HR complaints at Maddie's office about overfamiliar DMs with Trevor. Not a formal case but smoke where I already knew fire burned. Ava texted that Jackson had confessed to Karen just a kiss, and Karen spun it into a sermon about modern temptations and performative men who can't handle female freedom. My mom, normally saintly, replied in the family chat, "Freedom without honesty is just chaos with better PR." Dale called me, voice like golf claps. "Let's not ruin Thanksgiving," he said. "We can curate a narrative." I pictured him editing my life like a campaign ad and hung up. Maddie swung between fury and worship. One day she'd send a voice memo, "You were never man enough," all venom. The next, a video of her sobbing on her knees again, promising 1,000 paper sacrifices. Job, phone, friends. I didn't respond. Boundary, boundary, boundary. I forwarded every message to the evidence folder and put my phone in a drawer. Friday, Marco dragged me to a boxing class. "Hit something that won't call you at 2 a.m., he said. The coach taught me stance, guard, breath. The first time my glove met the bag with a clean thud, something unjammed in my chest. Not revenge, release. I signed up for a month and walked home sore in a good way, the kind that says your body remembers you. That night, a DM from an unknown account, a selfie of Luca, neon lit, captioned, "She misses me." It felt designed to rot me from the inside. I stared at it, named the urge, panic, possessiveness, humiliation, then hit forward to the folder and block. I went to the kitchen and washed dishes like I was scrubbing the message off my bones. Pixel thumped his tail. Dr. Shah's voice in my head, "Choose rituals that return you to yourself." So I made tea. I wrote 3 sentences. I am not in competition with her chaos. I'm not auditioning for love. I am a boundary. Then I slept, not long but clean. The papers were anticlimactic. A beige envelope, a courier with a tired smile. I signed where my lawyer highlighted and felt something unclench. Not joy. Not revenge. Just space. I texted Maddie a single line, "You've been served." 10 minutes later she was at my door, hair wild, mascara already halfway down. She went straight to her move, on her knees, palms up, whispering bargains like prayer beads. "I'll quit. I'll move states. I'll delete my past. Please, Ethan. Don't let me be the villain in my own story." I breathed, counted to 8 like coach taught me and said, "I'm not writing your story anymore." Karen called, sobbing, "Marriage is work." Dale emailed, subject line, optics, begging me to pause litigation until after Thanksgiving. Ava texted a simple, "I'm proud of you. I'll help with Pixel while you travel." Travel? I hadn't said that out loud yet, but it was already happening in my head. I booked a cheap flight west, stuffed a carry-on with hoodies and a battered film camera I found at a pawn shop, because why not learn to frame light when everything else feels dark? Zion first, then Bryce, then up to Moab. I hiked before sunrise, counting switchbacks instead of problems. On a slick rock ridge, wind in my teeth, I realized I'd gone an hour without thinking Maddie's name. Tiny miracle. Between parks, I hit little boxing gyms, the kind with duct tape bags and guys named Rico who teach you how to keep your chin tucked in life and in the ring. I mailed my parents postcards like a teenager, ate a burrito the size of Pixel. Punched a bag. Didn't cry today. Mom replied with a photo of Dad and Pixel in matching flannels. Made me laugh like a new muscle. There was a symbolic sting I allowed myself, one and done. I sent Maddie a notarized inventory of our shared stuff and a calendar outlining mediation. No snark, no subtweets, just cold logistics. Dr. Shah called it revenge by competence. I like that. On day 9 my STI panel cleared. I celebrated with grocery store sushi in a motel and a sunset photo that came out imperfect and somehow exactly right. I started to feel, not happy exactly but present. I noticed the way my shoulders sat lower. I noticed how silence could be full instead of empty. I noticed I was living for me and it didn't feel selfish. It felt like oxygen. The decree came on a Tuesday, the kind of gray where the sky looks like wet concrete. I signed, the clerk stamped, and a chapter ended with a noise like a rubber stamp pretending to be thunder. I walked out, breathed in cold air, and realized the world did not pause for my heartbreak. It kept doing Tuesday things. Buses hissed, a kid dropped a milkshake, a dog, Pixel, my guy, looked up at me like, "So, park?" I moved into a smaller place with good light. I hung 3 photos from the trip, one crooked horizon on purpose, a reminder that straight lines aren't the only honest ones. I kept the boxing membership. I bought a second-hand enlarger and turned the bathroom into a makeshift darkroom on Sundays. It smells like Fixer and clean slates. I started sleeping without dreaming of carpets. Maddie tried a few last spins. A late night I found God and a therapist text, a voice memo where she cried, then yelled, then cried again. I didn't respond. Not cruelty, closure. Karen sent a Christmas card with glitter that infiltrated my sink for months. Dale emailed a tidy, wishing you wellness. Ava, who had her own messes to mop, sent Pixel a sweater with tiny boxing gloves stitched on. Ryan and I grab wings sometimes. We talk about nothing important and everything that matters. Here's the part that reads like advice because this is our /relationship_advice and I owe the sub that saved me at 3 a.m. Your gut isn't a hater, it's a historian. When the stories stop lining up, listen. Document, don't detonate. Screenshots beat speeches. Quiet moves beat loud ones. Don't bargain with your self-respect. Open to reset is just a sale on the furniture someone already stole. Find rituals that return you to yourself. Mine were boxing, film, hikes, and making tea I actually sat down to drink. Build a small, boring army. Lawyer, therapist, doctor, one blunt friend, one soft friend. Revenge is overrated unless it's competence. Handle business. Let silence do the PR. Grief is not a staircase, it's a tide. When it pulls you under, float. When it recedes, walk. Was I insulted? God, yes. I twisted myself into knots asking if I was good enough, fun enough, man enough. Here's the answer I landed on: I was exactly enough for the life I promised. I just wasn't enough for someone who wanted a crowd to clap for her while she burned it down. That's not a me problem. That's a boundary problem, and I finally learned to be one. The last unexpected thing? I'm excited again. Not in the fireworks way, more like a pilot light that stayed on through a storm. I met people on trails who swapped book recs and protein bar hacks. I developed a roll of film where a stranger laughed mid-frame and I caught it, honest and unposed. I'm taking a long weekend to Big Sur next month with Pixel. I want to see if the ocean can box too. If you're reading this in the dark with your stomach in your throat, here's my benediction. You do not have to lose yourself to prove you can keep someone else. You can choose dignity over dopamine. You can be the boundary. And when the stamp hits the paper, you will still be you, tender, tired, teachable, and the world will keep doing Tuesday things and you will walk out into it lighter by exactly 1% and heavier with yourself. And that, somehow, feels like a win.